Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So today we're gonna do a little video around cold water crankbait fishing, right? You'll see a lot of these videos throughout the year with the pros talking about the crankbaits they use, stuff like that. From their perspective, you get one or two brands that those guys are tied to, right? I'm gonna give you 5 or 6 of my favorites because I'm not tied to anybody, so I can talk about them all. And I think that's the charm to this type of video, is I can give you a real world, unbiased, over a broad spectrum rather than being tied to one or two crankbaits, and that's all I talk about, right? So, first one I'm going to start with, huge crowd pleaser, everybody loves them, the Berkeley Frittside. Myself included, these things have been absolutely chewed. I mean, you can see the teeth marks on the belly of this thing. Smallmouth, largemouth alike love these things. These are the 5-foot models or 5 to 7 foot models, whatever they dive. Really nice bill shape, so it deflects really nicely. They're both silent, and I think it's good to have a mix of silent and ones that rattle, just depending on the situation, right? You wanna be able to be versatile, but both of these absolute killers in cold water. Same version, just the bigger style, dives about 10 feet. This is in kind of a ghost gill pattern. It's nice to have a few different variations of the same one, so that you can match whatever is going on, right? If they're feeding on bluegill, if they're feeding on craw, whatever it is, you have something that can match the hatch, so to speak. This one here is an Arashi flat 7, kind of a translucent color, red back. I really dig this one. Again, it's similar to the Frittside, but a little smaller, more compact. It's got a micro, what do they call it, a microchip bill or whatever the heck it is. They're super durable though. They deflect really nicely. Dives quick, gets down to its optimum depth fast, and has a really nice tight wobble with those flat sides. Another one that I don't see a lot, but I like to throw, is the Berkeley. Real skinny bill. I mean, extremely tight wobble. Super slim, little bigger profile. Another really good one. From a lipless standpoint, there's 2 main ones I throw. The Strike King Red Eye is one of them. And then one that's a little bit more unique is the Clunn Hail Mary. Now the thing that's unique about these, it's got a really fat head. But regardless of the weight, whether you throw a half, a 3/4, or an ounce, they're all exactly the same size, same length, same profile. They just vary the size of the weight on the internals. And so when you go from a half to a 3/4 to a 1 ounce, the only thing that changes is the fall rate. Really ingenious design. They have a great wobble coming through the water. They are a killer in the spring. They really, really do a nice job. Probably my second favorite next to the Frittside though are these guys. And these are the Lucky Strike Shallow Smoothies. So you got a little bit longer, slimmer profile, still thin, tiny little bill, dives about 5 to 8 feet, and they make a color, I don't have any right now, I need to order some more, in the color's Chili Bowl. Absolutely ridiculous color. Just, I mean, it kills the smallmouth. I throw it a lot on Banks Lake. And I don't know why they like it so much over there, but I've had my best luck with it on that lake. They kill it. So I've talked about 5 or 6 different crankbaits. And it's good to match the depth of that crankbait to the area you're fishing, right? A crankbait really does its thing when it's reflecting and deflecting off of material, rocks, logs, laydowns. You're ticking through the tops of grass, stuff like that. So you can do that one of 2 ways, right? You can vary your line size. So just keep in mind, Generally speaking, a crankbait's max depth is run on about 10-pound line, right? So that's how they calculate that. 10 to 12 pound, just depends on the manufacturer. They're all a little bit different. So you can adjust your line size up or down to get it to run deeper or shallower, or uh, or you just get different depths of the crankbait, right? So if you're fishing a grass line that's 5 feet below the surface, get something that runs right about that 5 feet. You can keep it right up there, ticking the tops of that grass. Throw the traps down in the grass and rip it out. You can do that. If you're fishing, the general rule for me, anyways, is if you're fishing 10 feet of water, I want a crankbait that runs about 11 or 12 feet because I can get it down to that max depth and really get it deflecting off of that material. Now, when I'm fishing it in the wintertime, obviously you're fishing it a little bit slower, right? Your bait fish aren't going nuts out there. They're not flinging all over the place, acting crazy. They're just kind of twiddling along. And so when you're bringing those crankbaits down and you're deflecting off of the rocks, a really good technique that time of year is once it hits, just stop reeling and just kind of slowly drag it along. Reel it up, slowly drag it along. Just kind of vary your retrieve all the time. Oftentimes when it's deflecting is when you're going to get your strike, right? But when you're reeling it down, it's kind of chugging along, right? You hit a rock, stops, pow. Usually that's when they're going to hit it. And you giving it that little pause and then just kind of dragging it along can often produce a few more strikes. So just a few ideas. From a gear standpoint, I have one main rod I throw it on. I use a loose speed spool. I usually have it rigged up with 12-pound fluorocarbon. That's about as big as I'm going to go on a little square bill, to be honest with you. You can do that if you have the right rod and you play them right. Sometimes I'll go up to 14 or 16 if I'm casting in, like heavy cover, stuff like that, where I want just a little bit more protection from the line getting beat up. But 12-pound test is my sweet spot. I've got a loose speed spool, 6/6 to 1. And then the rod is, in my opinion, the most important piece of the whole puzzle, right? So I use a 610 medium fast alpha angler slasher. So this rod runs a couple $100, and what it's designed for is a jerk bait. But the beauty of the alpha angler rods is even though they're designed technique specific, when you start fishing them, you realize you can use these things for so much more than what they're advertised for. I use this rod for jerk baits, square bills, swim baits, the little Kitech type swim baits, a little bit of top water. They're great with like little poppers, smaller walking baits, stuff like that. It's an extremely versatile rod. And what makes this such a good crankbait rod, I like the length because it allows me to be extremely accurate on my casts. The medium power is plenty of backbone to be able to get the fish in. And then the fast tip really allows it to absorb that tension so you're not ripping those treble hooks out of their mouth. And that is the absolute number one reason why people lose crankbait fish or treble hook fish in general, is they're using too stiff of a rod. I'm not a partner with them, not affiliated at all. But if you do not check out Alpha Angler and check out their lineup of rods, you absolutely are not doing yourselves any favors. I'm not saying go out and buy a crap load of them because they're expensive, but go out and try one. I only have 2. I wish I could have 10, but I've got this one in the Rebound, and boy, I tell you, they're my favorite rods of the 47,000 I have. I would take these over any others any day of the week.